Hi everyone, welcome back. As the video states, are CORIMA wheels still relevant? Here I've got the 47mm disc brake wheel set, quite special. I've been riding it for about a week and I've got some interesting feedback, shall we say. Now excuse the disc brakes, they are some prototypes. These are the more final versions. Video on these Ascent wheels coming soon. They're the new 56 wheels from Ascent. I'm not even sure if they're released yet, but I've got a pair. Anyway, back to the CORIMAs. These are interesting because they're hookless. It's not my choice to ride hookless rims, that's just what these come in. Now, if you look at the CORIMA range, I think these are the only ones in the kind of depth range that are actually hookless, and I think for the deeper ones, they don't use hookless. They use normal hooks. So why are these hookless? I have no idea. They're the sort of foam core construction. Can you notice a difference when you're riding? Honestly, I couldn't notice a difference. Some people say there's a bit more vibration attenuation. I couldn't really notice a difference. It's all down to the tyre really. The tyre gives you so much more damping and deflection than the wheel ever would in terms of vibration attenuation that I can't notice it. These are actually set up tubeless right now. Again, that's not really my preference for road, but it's how I received the wheels. They have what looks like at first glance straight pull spokes, but they're not. They're a J-bend spoke. So these are Sapim CX Ray, I believe, J-bend, but they're not traditional J-bend. Okay, you can see the J, the head of the J in there. Why they didn't use a straight pull, I'm not sure, but anyone picked it up on it yet? The J is 90 degrees out from where it normally would be. So on one hand, I really like the fact that they're using, normal steel spokes that you can pick up in a bike shop, but these you can't. They're proprietary because the J is twisted 90 degrees. In a pinch, you could use a normal J-bend straight pull, not straight pull, you could use a normal J-bend spoke and get away with it. You just have to kind of deflect it 90 degrees to get the head to where it wants to be, otherwise the bladed section would be out. Now the hubs are very, very nicely finished, I have to say, and these aren't the newest wheels and the bearings still feel great. I've not touched the bearings. That end cap doesn't feel like it's going to come off for the video, or will it? Will it play ball? It will come off. So there we've got a 6903 bearing, which is actually quite a chunky bearing for a front hub. There's no grease under that end cap, it's completely dry. And basically no labyrinth seal, just a single flange. There is an O-ring on the inside there, but it'd be nice to have a double labyrinth on there. But as you can see, this brake's got very hot and very rusty. But yeah, the weird J-bend spokes, there's internal nipples. The rim width isn't the widest. I think these are 21 internal, so not the widest nowadays, more 23 or 25. What have we got here? Yeah, 622 by 21, and this hookless, remember that's hookless. So I'm not going to use these for too many road bike TTs. General riding, yes, but for road bike TTs with this tyre size, I'd probably put a bit more than, the 5 bar limit. So I'll be sticking with hooked rims for sort of TT stuff when I want to be rolling a bit faster. But this Goodyear tyre, I'm actually quite impressed with this. It feels very nice and supple to ride. Obviously a lot of that comes from the pressure, but this is a 30C and it is true to width. It's not the widest 30C tyre in the world. For instance, that tyre there is a 28mm 5K and that's measuring up at about 30. So you can tell these rims aren't that wide, but are they still relevant? I don't know, they're a lot of money. I can't remember the list price of these, but I'll put it up on screen here. I think for the old school kind of narrow width, I don't know, I personally wouldn't buy these because I like to run a 32 on the back and that would be a real light bulb, and this is already starting to light bulb and this is a narrow-ish 30. So I think they do need updating. It would be good if they were hooked. I don't know, obviously I've tried to save a bit of tooling cost by going to hookless. Hubs wise, I think they're great. Same about the sort of proprietary spokes. Like I said, at a pinch you probably could just get away with a normal J-bend if you're going to replace it, either just with a straight gauge spoke, to be honest. But in a video coming soon we'll be looking at these Ascent hubs, which are very, very special. and these are new Ascent rims, which are 23 internal, so slightly fatter than these. Now, I have done an aero test with these, put the data up on screen here. Pretty impressive, nothing spectacular, but like I said, with all the aero tests that I used to do on the old sensor, well, now I'm using the Ghibli sensor, but all the wheels are so similar now. There's not really a lot to choose between them. A lot of it comes down to basically test error and have you exactly nailed the rolling resistance between the two tyre setups. So obviously when I did the aero test, I used 5k TRs. What's on the back of that one is a 5k TR. I put 5k TRs on both of these. I can't run a 5k on these because they're hookless. So I used a 5k TR, and you have to match not just the pressures, but like the skin friction, the hoop stress in the tyre. So you have to take into account the volume and the width of the tyre as well, the measured width, not just the stated width. So I'll put the results on screen. Pretty normal for this depth, but yeah, all 50mm wheels are all about the same aero performance. You know, I find bigger differences by changing a helmet from one model to the other, so don't really worry about aero performance with wheels, to be honest. They're all very, very similar, unless they're really, really bad or very, very narrow and don't match the tyre size. Let's have a quick look at the rear hub. Made in France. Now, I have been running this just for a quick test with a 105 cassette. This is a 1128, far smaller than I'd always ride. Yeah, I'd say the finish on the rims is good. People say, oh, you know, made in France, it must be amazing, but somewhere I found around the edge there are like tiny pores in the, that's P-O-R-E-S, tiny pores in the laminate. Maybe it was the front wheel. I don't know if you see that. Slight micro pores in the finish there. There you go. Light's picked up. Now you're going to get a much better finish nowadays on a Chinese rim, whether it's you know, CRW or wind space or whatever. I don't think it's a structural defect, but it's a little bit resin dry there. But I don't know, CORIMA do have a bit of a bling factor, I think. A bit of the Astana vibe, although I'm not sure if they're with Astana anymore, are they? I don't know. At one point Astana went to head, which I think was a big upgrade for them, but I think they might be back on CORIMA now. But interesting spoke lacing, interesting spoke. Just today I've put them on my little stiffness testing rig, and surprisingly, I think for quite a skinny rim and not many spokes, they're actually quite stiff. And I think that becomes something to do with the foam core in the rims. So in bending, I think the foam core is able to transmit a bit more load from skin to skin, so basically the second moment area of the rim section goes up without adding much weight. But I mean, these aren't the lightest wheels because of that foam core and because of the construction. So put the weight on screen here. They're not that light for the depth. They feel pretty solid. They don't feel that, you know, low inertia, really lightweight vibe that the modern kind of direct-to-consumer Chinese wheels are doing, like the CRWs. But they should be pretty bomb-proof, that said. So yeah, stiffness test done, aero test done. I haven't had that much riding experience on them though, to be honest. But I guess some of you want to hear the free hub sound check, so let's spin her up. Pretty noisy. You can see it jerking up and down. Not balanced that well, but that's probably to do with this being set up tubeless. There's probably a lot of gunk stuck in one section of the wheel, and that's one of the reasons why I don't run tubeless on road, is because of the balancing issue. Specifically on the front wheel, if you've got a front wheel out of balance, you take your hands off the bars, you'll see the bars sort of shimmying left and right. And yeah, it's pretty impossible to balance a wheel that's set up with tubeless sealant inside it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned for more wheel stuff. I've got a big backlog of wheels to come, including the Ascent, CRW, blah blah blah, some more fast sports wheels, and these 6-spokers, which were an amazingly interesting aero test. So cheers, and I'll see you in the next one.